An England debut at 26 for Queen's Park Rangers striker Les Ferdinand gives hope to footballers everywhere. He played here at Wembley when he was 19 in the FA Vase final for Southall, and his route to the top has taken him via nearby Hayes and a loan spell in Turkey. Well, it was against Turkey that England won impressively in their last match, but there are 4 changes tonight. At number 3, Tony Dorigo replaces the injured Stuart Pearce, which means number 7, David Platt, is captain for the first time. At 9 and 10, Ferdinand and the recalled John Barnes replaced the injured pair Shearer and Wright. And at number 11, David Batty was drafted in this morning because Paul Ince's young son is unwell. And on the bench tonight, Graham Taylor has Nigel Clough, Paul Merson, Trevor Stephen and Andy Sinton. Now, what about the office workers, postmen, chemists and car mechanics? San Marino have only 2 full-time professionals. Number 8, Marco Mazza, plays in Division 4 of the Italian League, and number 10, Massimo Bernini, who had some splendid years with Juventus, now plays for Bologna in the Italian 2nd Division. The only out-and-out striker is number 9, Nicola Bacciocchi, who scored against Turkey, one of only 2 international goals San Marino have ever registered. But the fellow with the most thankless task tonight is undoubtedly Pierluigi Benedettini, the 31-year-old goalkeeper who runs a coach company and actually drove the team bus to the airport on Monday. And tomorrow afternoon, most of his colleagues expect to be back at work. And it's nice to see Bobby Moore up in the press box working for radio. The best wishes of his many friends in football are with him tonight and in the time to come. Referee tonight comes from Luxembourg, Roger Filippi. And San Marino, in their light blue shirts, start an international which a few years ago would have been an impossibility. Only admitted to FIFA in 1988 and have only been playing internationals effectively since 1990. Header there was by number 4, Zanotti, then by Des Walker. Palmer, Dorigo. And again, the Leeds fullback looks for David Platt, who's been given a forward role alongside Ferdinand, with Barnes playing to their left. Initially, anyway. Here's Dorigo. On the first corner conceded, Tony Dorigo drove it in, and it was William Guerra, the number 6, who was actually born in the United States, the sweeper, who got the ball out. Barnes in the near post area, Ferdinand to come in from deeper. Dorigo again gets a contact.
I expect to see Tony Dorigo and also the other fullback, Lee Dixon, making a lot of forward runs, because with the selection, David Batty and Carlton Palmer in midfield, although John Barnes will give some width, I think the 2 fullbacks are going to be absolutely vital this evening to get the quality crosses that Les Ferdinand, for instance, thrives on.
And Ferdinand had his way blocked slightly. This is David Platt, and he's in here, is Platt. Good save by the keeper, and headed back out over the bar by Muccioli for a corner. And Benedettini's first test, he passes in good fashion. Platt cursing his luck, but it was a knock, I think, at the end that made him wrinkle up his face. It's a corner on the far side to England. Gascoigne to take. Oh, and Batty got a touch there, and there was a man on the line behind the goalkeeper.
And that corner does highlight the height of the goalkeeper. Benedettini is very sort of small for a goalkeeper. If David Batty can out-jump him, I should think that encourages all the England players that have got a chance on any quality cross.
Gennari, the number 3, was the player on the line behind the keeper. Corner again. Barnes heads on, man at the far post, and it's there! David Platt, the captain, well, having just been denied, Platt puts England in front. corner taken here by Gascoigne, flicked on by Barnes, and Platt jumps and it's in the net before San Marino can react after 13 minutes. Trevor.
Good first touch by Barnes and two defenders, and David Platt gets up early, and it's first goal, so important, and perhaps now that will open the gates a bit.
And that opening goal for England, provided by really a Barnes flick on from the corner, which had the keeper wrong-footed a bit, and Platt, you can see, squeezed it in at the other post. Adams on the line in case. Here's Dixon. Adams takes the chance to come forward. Not a bad ball either. And there's the cross. It's a bit long this time for Platt. Cross supplied by Gascoigne. Here's Adams. Palmer. Dixon. Batty. On again to Gascoigne. This is Barnes. Out again to Dorigo. And once more a corner.
Thought John Barnes might have just taken it on and hit a shot himself, thought about it, then set up Tony Dorigo, but again the cross was blocked. A lot of numbers back, and they're not finding it easy, England, to get behind their defence.
That's right, Tony Adams has come up in front of John Barnes this time, pulling away a bit now, though. Dorigo. Palmer. Batty. And outside him is Dixon. And it's Batty again. Little chip across, and Platt jumps again. And the goalkeeper, well, it's been given. It's been given, it was over the line. And Platt, again at the far post, is the scourge of poor Benedettini. But there's a player getting involved there. Number 4, Zanotti, has been involved in a bit of a scuffle as the referee walked back. And David Platt gets the second. A good spot by the linesman, Trevor, if that was over the line.
Well, he's eagle-eyed, isn't he? He's got a better view than me, I should think, because that one was very close, and I would have thought the goalkeeper would have blocked the view because the linesman is the other side to where David Platt headed in. But he sort of flag went up straight away. Good spring by Platt. Just went beyond Ferdinand. Good chip by David Batty. And a second goal, I think, just at the right time. You could just sense the crowd getting a bit frustrated, and so the second goal will settle everyone down again.
Well, 24 minutes gone. I must say, with the naked eye, I wouldn't have wanted to make that decision whether that ball was behind the line. The goalkeeper may feel a little aggrieved by that, but David Platt's second it is. David Batty is the player who chips the cross. Ferdinand's in here as well, but it's Platt who makes contact, coming in as the second man. There's the header. Benedettini claws it out. Well, would you say that was over, Trevor? I've got my doubts.
Well, I would have to say that the linesman would have to be this side to have had a clear view of that, and you couldn't have said it was definitely over. I wouldn't have thought with the goalkeeper blocking his line of vision, but his flag went up straight away. I'm sure San Marino will argue it later, though.
Well, they might well do. The linesman on the far side, Gino Poggi. Oh, I don't know. The whole of the ball has to be over the line, but at the other end, San Marino are attacking. Forward by Benitez and offside.
Well, that last one with the camera in the goal suggests it wasn't all over. As you said, the whole ball's got to be over, and at that stage, it didn't look it to me.
Well, I've got to be careful what I say, because it's one of the people that backed David Platt for a hat-trick tonight. He now only needs one more.
I'm sure the bookmakers will have an out if there is a questionable decision like that, though.
Well, I'm not too happy about that. Anyway, here comes Baciocchi. And here's Platt again. Taking his England goals total to 14. And the tonight that he's leading the side. Here's Dixon. Gascoigne's in the middle this time. Well, the corner given this time. These officials from Luxembourg are puzzling the San Marino players at the moment with one or two of their verdicts. Not sure the Wembley crowd are entirely in agreement, even though they're mostly England supporters. Gascoigne to take the corner. Adams and Ferdinand up together.
Both had a chance of the free header and just got in each other's way. And I mean, crosses, England will score almost every time if they can get quality crosses in.
Gascoigne plays it forward. This is Barnes. Platt's unmarked in the middle. Is it the hat-trick already? No. His control wasn't good enough to bring the ball under, and it got away.
Well, the two Flair players set that one up. There, Paul Gascoigne knocked it through to John Barnes, and then a good first touch, unselfish. Just bounced up, perhaps unkindly. I think if David Platt had gone towards it, but the ball just ran away from him.
Batty. Barnes. Gascoigne making another forward run. He's in the area now. There he is. It's his header on. Needs to do it again. Offside this time. That one won't count from David Platt. But the one before did, Trevor, didn't it?
Well, it's a good ball hanging in there by David Batty, and he does get up well, David Platt, so dangerous in the air, but to say the whole ball over, I think was a bit unfortunate for San Marino. I'm sure England supporters are delighted, though.
Well, I suppose, as we're at Wembley, one always remembers that goal in 1966. Was it over the line? Another one here on a rather less emotional occasion. Here's Gascoigne. Batty. Ferdinand hasn't really got much sight of goal yet, the newcomer.
Now, it's very difficult as a striker when you've got sort of 8 or 9 men around you defensively, and that's why the defenders and the midfield players will be getting more of the ball, and he'll be frustrated because he won't seem to be getting that many touches, and he just needs... he's had 1 or 2 little link-up plays, but he hasn't had a clear view at goal. That was the first one, but it was a long way out.
Here's Platt. Oh, tried to slip the last man and was brought down. The card will come out here. It's... Platt was... Guerra is the offender, number 6. Platt was going for the hat-trick here, and Guerra stepped right across him. This could be an angle for Tony Dorigo, standing on the right of the picture. He certainly scored from something like that position in the Charity Shield, I remember, here for Leeds. Gascoigne is the other player in the picture. Gascoigne takes it. Oh, just dropped wide.
I mean, it favours the left footer. Paul Gascoigne probably said, well, you had to go just earlier in the half, let me have a try. And the goalkeeper just edges to the left, thinking it'll go that side, and then is wrong-footed, and I'm not sure at all that he would have got there. I mean, that is the side the goalkeeper should be standing, and he would have been to blame if that one had gone in.
Well, it's all part of his education, and San Marino, in learning a few lessons, have also, by their standards, gone some way towards passing the examination in this first half. It's now almost over, and they've kept England down to 2. Here's Adams. Dorigo. Franchini.
There's a goal kick, and it's on that side. Lee Dixon trying to bulldoze through there with Les Ferdinand, and as John Barnes and Paul Gascoigne had the ability to beat defenders, but of the other 8 outfield players, they're sort of more passers, and you just feel you need another player that's going to try and go past defenders. I wouldn't be at all surprised in the second half, early on or whatever, that perhaps one of those midfield defender players, David Batty or Colton Palmer, which is no reflection on their performance, but just to add that extra attacking option, that somebody is brought in place of them.
Here's Platt. Barnes wasn't expecting it. Dorigo got it. So too now did Batty. Well into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Ferdinand. Ferdinand again, that wasn't a bad touch. Platt's coming towards the near post here. Gascoigne. And still Gascoigne. Oh, ran into 3 blue shirts. And at half-time, the lead is a slender one, 2-0. The Wembley crowd's reaction is not particularly encouraging. What's the performance, Trevor?
Well, David Platt, top man, but he knows that his side have to do better in the second half. 2-0 is a scoreline that probably reflects the play, because there have been many chances, not many openings, and perhaps there will be a tactical switch in the second 45 minutes.
Half-time practice for the England goalkeeper Chris Woods. There's so little to do in the first 45 minutes that he's been brought out by Peter Bonetti and David Seaman to get some handling practice in. Well, I'm told that there are over 50,000 people inside Wembley tonight, and if that's so, it's a very good crowd for this type of international pairing, and it means that there are twice as many people and more inside the stadium than live in the Republic of San Marino, where the population is around 23,000. But talking of doubling up, England will want at least twice as many goals in the second half as they scored in the first to achieve the kind of respectable score that, from their point of view, was anticipated tonight. 2-0 with 1 goal disputed is hardly enough. Here's Adams. Platt's header. Dixon then to Gascoigne. And again, Platt. Batty to Palmer. Dorigo. Barnes. Decent cross. They're fighting for it here, Platt and Ferdinand. Platt. Corner.
Better early cross from the other side. John Barnes just made half a yard, didn't have to go past his marker, and put in a good one towards the far post when David Platt then tried to create that second crossing opportunity.
It's Gascoigne with the corner. Bit of rough and tumble there. Dorigo! And there was a collision in the area which left one player from each side. Tony Adams is the England player stunned.
Well, it's one of those classic situations where the defender just body checks the runner as he's coming in, and you could see Tony Adams, who was going to go in on that header, couldn't reach the actual destination because he got blocked, and there was a collision. He's come off quite bad, actually. Tony Adams, a pretty hard head as well, I believe. That sort of defending is renowned, not only San Marino, but, you know, as I've mentioned earlier, Italian defenders. They block the run rather than give the opportunity for any free header.
Bonini. Gascoigne. Dixon. And Bonini looks around for some support. San Marino not used to getting into the other half, but Marco Mazzarrada got it back, number 8, and he's found Manzaroli. Baciocchi, the little number 9, runs towards goal. Even a shot would be an achievement for San Marino tonight. This is Bonini. And they've actually had a man over there, but Lee Dixon got in between them and plays the long ball. This is Platt. Ferdinand has made strides in the centre. Gascoigne is further over. This is Batty. Still the two of them wait. Here comes Ferdinand!
Well, it was an excellent move. Unlucky Les Ferdinand. Timed his run, sprang well, just beyond the near post, and he couldn't quite direct it. As you see, gets in front of the defender very well, gets up there, thought he'd tucked it into the corner, should have done perhaps, but just went the wrong side. There he is, a hanging ball. Should have, I think, just gone in the near post. That was his best opportunity so far.
Batty. Palmer has pushed forward 2 now. Dorigo. Oh, dear me, that's an awful cross. It's come back to Barnes. Here's Ferdinand. And the third man is Palmer. Good save. And as the ball came out, Platt just couldn't get to it. Dorigo again. Crowd get behind England a bit now. That's a corner.
Tony Dorigo had a lot of the ball, and probably from his own point of view, hasn't crossed the ball as well as I've seen him on a number of occasions for Leeds so far. This
is England's 10th corner. Adams pulls away. It's played short to Dorigo. Back again to Gascoigne. Ferdinand jumping again, and the goalkeeper scrambled it round.
Keeper did well. They didn't quite get enough power, Les Ferdinand, but he sprung superbly, and that is his strength. And those last 2 headers would have done him a lot of good.
Zanotti. Number 11 is Franchini. 4 passes put together there by San Marino. Des Walker has to come across. It was a start of a very good turn by Ferdinand, but his ankles were caught. It's Gascoigne with the quick free kick to Dorigo. Platt's in the middle, so is Ferdinand. Dorigo's cross, and Ferdinand, and Platt surely. Oh! And the overhead from Gascoigne. Well, how Platt didn't make that 3-0. In fact, it was Dixon, I think, with the overhead in there. Not Gascoigne, but Platt seemed to be odds-on to put that over the line, and a defender seemed to get in the way here.
Well, he should have scored. A great cross by Tony Dorigo this time. Good unselfish play from Les Ferdinand, and somehow it's gone through David Platt's legs. The defender actually does well not to have an OG there.
It's a nice touch by Gennari, that. He's got the ball back from Matza. And the crowd are starting to applaud and cheer every time San Marino get a touch.
I mean, Graham Taylor will argue, you know, Ian Wright and sort of Alan Shearer are unavailable, but it's the service into the strikers that is the problem this evening.
There goes Ferdinand. Oh, dear, dear, dear. We've been playing 17 minutes in the second half. It's only 2-0. One of those goals was disputed. And you have to ask yourself how many difficult saves Benedettini in goal for San Marino has had to make.
Well, I can only think of a couple, and that has been, I think, the biggest disappointment of the whole performance. That there hasn't been a hatful of chances, let alone goals.
This is Palmer to Adams. In the way, Franchini. Bonini. Matza. Barnes fouled. Well, you can tell from the expressions on the faces that the crowd expected a lot more than this. There's Ferdinand, and there's Platt, and that's number 3. And that's a relief, really, because England had gone through a very poor spell, and David Platt has completed his first hat-trick for England. 67 minutes as Ferdinand gets a flick on, and Platt steals in, just avoids being brought down, and makes it 3.
They took it well. Les Ferdinand showing his spring, gets above the defender, and Platt reacts quicker than the defender and the goalkeeper, and takes it very composed manner. As you can see, just beats the goalkeeper to it, and then there's no problem with tucking it away. But it was desperately needed, wasn't it?
I haven't heard an England player jeered at Wembley for a long time like John Barnes has been here. Ferdinand's in the middle. Oh, it's come to Gascoigne. Hits the bar. Ferdinand, surely. It bounced away from him a bit. And Dorigo.
Well, it was another Dorigo cross, which just came off the defender's head. Paul Gascoigne, a clear sight, hits it well enough, just hits the underside of the crossbar, didn't quite bounce kindly for Ferdinand.
Bit of a Jeff Hurst this from 66, isn't it? Except it bounces on the other side of the line for England. Quarter of an hour to go. It's still only England 3, San Marino 0. Which at the moment would be a moral victory for San Marino. They lost 10 goals in Norway. This is Dorigo. Here comes Barnes. I'm not sure that was actually going in, but the goalkeeper showed us that he's got a good spring, and in fact, somewhat needlessly from Barnes' header, the keeper has conceded a corner. And now the crowd, it would seem, coming around to England's way of thinking a bit more. Gascoigne takes the corner. Oh, they might not after that. This is Dixon. Well, I can't see how that can be a corner. Oh, it is. Adams. It's Franchini. Well, the game has been played exclusively in the San Marino half. Dorigo has the ball now, but they've put bodies in the way, they've got feet in the way, they've got big hearts, and they've kept the score down to 3 up to now. England's endless corner count increases. Adams is there. This is Palmer. Good save, Benedettini, got down well.
That was a good save, a good strike from Carlton Palmer with his left foot as well. He'd be pleased with that, unless Ferdinand's got a knock there. As you can see, it comes over. It's just nodded down by Tony Adams. Carlton Palmer, then he's waiting for the knockback from Ferdinand. That's when he picks up his injury, and a good save from Benedettini.
Dixon. Vanini. Paolo Mazza, foul. If they played the ball here, San Marino could get in England's half. And Massimo Bernini really gave that away, the most experienced player. And this is Ferdinand, and Palmer's coming in! 4. Carlton Palmer scores his first goal for England. 79 minutes, and suddenly there's an element of respectability in the score from England's point of view. Bernini, a player of his experience, should never have allowed that ball to get away, but he did. And Ferdinand here, good at crossing, as Graham Taylor says. He's the provider, and Palmer had made the strides and threw himself forward to head it in.
What a good cross that was by Les Ferdinand. Just sat there waiting for Carlton Palmer to head it. And great pace as well by him, which we have seen so often for the Queen's Park Rangers.
Here's Barnes. Goal kick given.
It's just surged away from the defender and then just put it into the space early, and that's the position to put the ball in from.
7 minutes to go, and it's 4-0. And there's Adams in the penalty area for England. Checked out and got the cross in, and it's his Arsenal colleague Dixon Platt. David Platt has scored his 4th goal and England's 5th. And it's Tony Adams first off here who does well. In fact, there were 2 Arsenal defenders up there. Adams first off here. Now watch for Lee Dixon joining in as this ball is headed out. Dixon shoots, really, but Platt sticks out a foot. And that is England's highest score under Graham Taylor, 5. And David Platt, there's a booking there for number 10, Benini. David Platt records a 4-goal performance to match that of Gary Lineker in Malaysia, who was the last England player to score 4 in a match. I think most of us would have said OK to 6. If that is the case, they've got 1 to go. Here's Dorigo. This is Adams. And still the crowd boo Barnes. Dixon. Awkward there, and there's the header against the bar, and the groundsman's flag is up, but a goal has been given. Les Ferdinand has got his first goal on his debut. Tony Adams had a good header just before it, which hit the bar. And Ferdinand gets what he wanted. Dixon's cross. Adams, a great leap against the crossbar on the line, and Ferdinand will claim that. 86 minutes. And now England have gone as clear as they might have been expected to. Well, it may have just half crossed the line, shall we say. I think Ferdinand will claim it, won't he, Trevor?
Yeah, it didn't look all the ball over to me. It came down on the line and was just going to hover on that line, and Les Ferdinand, I'm sure, won't have that goal taken away. Good header, first of all, by Tony Adams, and great bit of skill from Lee Dixon to get the crossover.
Dorigo. Batty, oh, Dorigo's gone again, and the referee takes a look at that and gives a penalty. Manzaroli came in behind him, and a penalty to England, and the penalty taker, they're still protesting San Marino, to no avail. The penalty taker nominated before the game in the England dressing room was the captain, David Platt, so as Manzaroli pushes Dorigo down, Platt has a chance here to equal the best ever individual score by an England player in an international, which is 5. Malcolm McDonald and 2 players in the distant past share it at the moment. Can Platt make it a personal performance of 5 goals on his first night as captain and make it 7 for England? The crowd are loving this now. At the very end of the 90 minutes. Oh, he saved it! And Ferdinand crosses offside on the far side, Platt. And at the end, where Gary Lineker missed that penalty against Brazil, the hoodoo strikes again. David Platt has his kick saved by the gallant Pierluigi Benedettini, going to his left. Still a Barrett Barnes. This is one of the, well, less seemly parts of the evening. Here's Dorigo. Offside flag is up. Well, there will have to be some sort of reaction to what's happened to John Barnes here. I don't quite know what to say, Trevor. You don't like to hear a player boo, do you? But somehow or other his England career has never quite taken off the way that you would have expected.
Well, I think everyone focused on him this evening. Oh, this is his big opportunity to prove his worth. But I think it's been very unfair. I don't like to hear supporters give any player the sort of stick that he's got this evening. Well, after 65 minutes with the score only 2-0, the whole team might have been booed off. But David Platt has written his name all over his first match as captain. 4 goals, and he missed a penalty, and thanks to that charge in the last 11 minutes when they scored 3 times, England turned a patchy performance into a respectable result.
and beat San Marino by 6-0.
Graham, it took time, but eventually the goals started to flow.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's always a problem, isn't it? There was only one team there playing a game of football, and it's very difficult then. And I thought the players showed great character. To come through a period where it's 2-0 and everybody's getting restless, and to stick at it, and the goals eventually come, I thought was very good, and they did well.
Were the expectations too high? The crowd's expectations?
I think at the end, David, the players and myself both knew that irrespective of how we actually performed, people would decide whether we played well or not simply by the amount of goals we scored. Now, I think that we could probably have played, say, 20% less and scored 4 more goals, and everybody would have said we were brilliant. It's up to them whether they think 6 goals is enough. It could have been doubled, but it wasn't.
David, 4 goals on your debut as captain, and yet I suspect a frustrating night.
It was, I think, frustrating for me because I missed a penalty, you know, right in the last minute there. Could have been 5, it could have been 7-0 for the team. In terms of frustrating for the team, I think the first half maybe was a little bit frustrating, but I don't think we played in the manner that we did do in the second half. I think at half-time what we decided we'd do was get the ball behind them a bit more, put it into them a bit more, because they were there for the taking, really. And it showed. We got more goals, we got more efforts on goal, we hit the post a couple of times, there's Paul's at the other side of the bar, and the goalkeeper's pulled off a couple of saves, aside from the penalty. So it could have been a lot more. Having said that, I think, you know, we built this week up. And the figure that seems to have been in everybody's head is 10 goals because the Norwegians put them past it. But all the things coming out of the England camp was that was a freak result, but you never see that coming out.
Big plus, Les Ferdinand.
Pluses, I think, for all of the players to come through the way that they did, to come through a period of time when the thing wasn't to the satisfaction of the crowd in terms of goals, and to show that resolution and that commitment when, in fact, your crowd, which is a tremendous 51,000 people here. I mean, I'm not criticising the attendance. Neither am I criticising the crowd for certain of their reaction, because I honestly do believe that they're prepared for that. I think a tone is set for them, and I think it shows at times the influence of the press.
There's the table as it stands. Then after that victory, you see the next match at the bottom there, but the next match for England is away to Turkey next month and then home to Holland in April. Right, Jim and Terry with us, as we said at the top of the show. What's the assessment from this end? Was that a satisfactory performance? I mean, before the match, you'd have said 6-0, that'll do.
Yeah, that's right. I think it just took a long time to get there. Laurie McMenemy said from the under-21 international last night, the crosses were the key. They scored a lot of goals. In fact, all the goals did come from crosses tonight, but there was a lot of poor crosses, which we would have felt wasn't what we were after. But that was the key, and 6 in the end. You're quite happy. It should have been 7, and you say, OK, yeah, fine. And you've got to get the goals, as Graham said, otherwise the people are not going to be happy. They was there to see goals, and they didn't think they were going to get them.
What about the style of the performance, Jim?
Well, I'm desperately worried about it, really. I mean, not tonight's performance. It matters very little, in a way, whether it was 6-0 or 10-0. But with Shearer not there and Wright being injured, you know, Hurst not there, you think to yourself, well, Platt as a makeshift striker, because if you play him up front, you miss his goals from midfield. Admittedly, against San Marino, you got goals up front. How can you criticise that? But you miss the goal-scoring role from midfield. And so, on that basis, if you think that we've got to beat some decent teams in this group, the manager's not having the best of luck before he starts to pick his team. I think you cross badly when you feel that the guys in the middle are not going to get there first. I think when you have the feeling, you know, that the strikers are on their toes and used to the job, and the right size and the right shape and the right pace, then you cross well.
So although goals came from crosses, there were a lot of missed chances from crosses at the point you're making.
That was the worst feature of the game. I mean, this is not such a bad cross from Platt, David Platt, but he spun it in. It was nearly a good one, but it was early on, and that was defended at the near post, so it doesn't go across the danger area. That was the first one.
Batty could have flicked that one on, in actual fact, but here we get another chance to see. But Batty, it's a good ball. Gascoigne, it's a delightful chip across, and then really in that position, it's I think he slightly loses his footing, but it's a poor cross.
And then Carlton Palmer, who I thought had an energetic and a good game tonight, and I won't have things said about him, but this again was just his turn to miss a cross. You know, left foot, not his favourite foot, but nevertheless it didn't test the defence. It threw the attack, you know, away at that point.
What did you feel about John Barnes tonight? I mean, he got some stick from the crowd. I mean, that doesn't normally happen for England players at Wembley. Not in that sort of way. They don't pick on individuals.
I think they were frustrated. They thought they weren't going to get what they came for, a feast of goals, and they took it out on John Barnes, and I thought that was a little unfair. I'm not saying he's not played better. But I think to direct all at one player, when a lot of the players were having a frustrating time really as well, I thought that was, I just don't like to see it really, when your own supporters are giving you that much stick. You expect to get some in general, but I just thought it was very pointed towards him.
I know John Barnes will say that he's as fit as he was. I wouldn't say he's reached that point yet. I mean, he says he can accelerate from a standing start as well as he could. I don't think that has happened, and I think that showed on things that normally he's absolutely perfect at. I mean, here, Gascoigne puts him through very well, Tel, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a nice bit of play, the sort of interchange of play that you expect for the both of them. And there, he is a great crosser of the ball, but on that situation, you just expect better from him.
Now, here shows how he can get off the mark. I mean, it's only against San Marino, but he's still got the strength and the acceleration to do that. But look at the weakness of that cross from him, because he's spectacular with those crosses on his normal standard. And that was why they got very upset. They're paying money to go and see the game. It's not cheap to go and see an England game. They probably might read how much John Barnes earns, and I think the frustration comes out on one player in the wrong way. But no doubt about it, I'm glad it wasn't a more difficult team to beat tonight with John Barnes in his present form, because I don't think he's back to the player that we all know he can be.
There was a ploy being used at the start of the game which looked as though it was going to be used all night, the near post corner. And they scored from it to begin with, but then they sort of went away from it.
Well, they marked dreadfully from the near post. They kept leaving John. Adams stood there. He took a defender away by spinning to the back post. And Barnes was consistently marked badly at the near post. He didn't have a player in front of him, and we kept forgetting about it. Look, you can see him there in the near post position, and we everything else but that near post after a good start. And
when we did, whack by Gascoigne wasn't a good delivery.
Well, funny enough, that was the first time there was a defender in front all night. In 16 corners we had, and there was no player apart from that one in front of Barnes and shielding the front of him. He was on all night. I mean, that could have gone on and on. They were terrified.
But the delivery tonight of players who we know can do so much better on that final ball wasn't good. And I think that's because you're trying to be too precise, because you feel when you've got strikers who are in form and you know who they are and you know how they make their runs, you ping it in, letting the guy get on the end of it. When you're trying to be too precise, I think you're more liable to miss.
Let's look at some of the things that went well. And first of all, we'll start with that near post corner that worked perfectly right near the start, the first goal.
Great delivery here. He's completely unmarked. It's flicked up, rooted at the back post of two defenders. Great spring, and Platt just finishes it off well. Now, that was early on, and you expect to see it all the time.
And here's Ferdinand. That was a beautiful cross. That's the cross that stretches the defence and stretched Carlton Palmer. Well done, Carlton.
And here again, you see, he's beaten the near post. It's gone away from the goalkeeper, gives Adams a great chance, comes down, and he finishes it off well. And I'm glad he got his goal to give him that encouragement, because he deserved it after that great cross.
Basically, what were the pluses for England tonight, in your opinion, Jim? What was good about the performance?
You'll laugh if I say. I mean,
I expect so.
You will. Yeah, I mean, the young man, Carlton Palmer, is full of enterprise. You know, I think he had a couple of shots accurately on goal, you know, when he had energy to run all over the place. He was running as hard at the end as he was at the beginning. But on the other hand, there must have been something wrong where Carlton Palmer and Batty appear to be on the ball most of the time, and players like Gascoigne, you're somehow in a shell tonight. Hardly saw him.
Why do you think that was, Gascoigne? It
Well,
wasn't
there's no doubt
himself,
for me, because you want goals coming from midfield, or you say, well, Platt's been removed up front, and Graham's had him at Aston Villa play up front. He's not a makeshift striker. He can play up front, and he's shown tonight he can do that.
No, that's not a point. We are saying that he should be in the middle of the field. Do you agree with that?
And then there is, you've got Platt and Palmer, who I say both of them, in an ingredients for a mixture, a blend, are ideal, one of them, but two together, you're not going to get a flood of goals from there, and I think that they will bite, and they can both pass the ball quite well.
But you would play Platt in midfield, would you not?
No, you could play Gascoigne in there.
Yes
no,
or no?
Gascoigne was playing. I don't actually know where he was.
You
in the
play
past,
Platt as a striker.
In the past,
give me
he's
an
had.
answer.
I'm giving Desmond an answer. In the last couple of games, Gascoigne's played a free role behind the front two, and that was plain to see. There was no one on the right hand side. The only one that could get forward was Dixon, and that was a bit of that was a bit of a surprise to me. I can't quite work that out.
Well, for the next couple of games, they're likely to have right back, aren't they, up front? But
Yeah, I
with
would say so.
Shearer probably out of it for some time. I mean, what about Ferdinand? I suppose he's the substitute for right at the moment, isn't he?
To be very fair, he hasn't been in the last couple of weeks on the scintillating form he showed before that for Queen's Park Rangers, and I think that goal tonight, you know, and the fact that he helped in the second half will do him a world of good. It's asking a lot for that lad to come in. Isn't easy to go from league football to international football.
No.
And as Terry will tell you, if you ask him another question, and
What was your first question? What was your first question?
The international players are of a different calibre than those who are good in the league. That's what you said tonight, and I always listen to what you say.
I know. You
Now,
do. I'm very impressed.
Platt would have got 10 out of 10 probably. But what
Oh,
about
yeah,
outstanding?
outstanding, yeah.
But what about the team performance? What we do, you chaps always do this now with the internationals. Marks out of 10. What would you give the England performance tonight, bearing in mind the opposition, bearing in mind the slow start, bearing in mind everything else?
Don't make it difficult and ask how many were giving the manager. Really, in that team, it was astonishing how players who we know are skillful tonight in that match failed to produce their skill. You can't blame the manager for that, you know. So I'm not going to. I'm going to knock the right down someone.
I mean,
you give Gascoigne for what you know he can do 4 out of 10, wouldn't you? The team itself tonight, in that game and the way they played, 6.5 was my mark.
6.5?
No,
6
was
and
my
7
mark
eighths.
before. I wouldn't go above 5 out of 10 for that performance.
5 out of 10.
I'd say 7.
7.
Because I'm always...
The discussion will go on, but we will move.